All right, welcome back to another episode of the Orange Ball Podcast. As always, Sam, Brendan, and you may notice something a little different. We are in our official Orange Ball studio.
We waited until the day of the national championship to get a.
Yeah. The ad revenue's really been rolling in, so we're like, let's just purchase the studio. No, I'm just kidding, but yeah, it's a nice spot. Like you said, I wish we kind of had it earlier, but some things worked out and had an extra room, so turned into.
No, it looks awesome.
Yeah,
It's fitting we do the national championship podcast in here, so it works out.
Big time.
But yeah, dude, I think we got a good Final Four, man.
Yeah.
I think for all the worries about the couple first round, not a lot of upsets and all that stuff, whatever. Like I think it turned into something that was gave us two good games against four good teams that we talked about too.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of the concern of everybody. Like, oh, it's chalk madness. It felt like it was either 50% of people were either like this is gonna be great, or 50% of the other people were like, this is just kind of no, I'm not really gonna watch this. But yeah, I mean two great games. We had Auburn and Florida. Florida came out with the win. They were down
Auburn was up for most of the first half and kind of doing their thing, and then that Florida team. This is why I'm so excited for this matchup, because I think there's going to be some good one-on-one battles in there. But down early, both these teams, Florida and Houston, can't put them away. We've seen that all tournament from both these teams. So, going back to the Saturday's games, Florida down early. Storms all the way back and wins, and then the night game was just unreal. It was an unfortunate, all-time choke job in the Final Four for Duke. I've never seen anything quite like that.
Yeah, that was crazy. They were up 14, their biggest lead, Duke was. And like I was telling you before the show, I wasn't home at the moment, so I couldn't watch it. And I checked on my phone, and it was that point in the game where the Houston guy reached over and got the technical. And I was like, oh, it's over. They're down 6 or 7 with a minute left. And all of a sudden, 5 minutes later, I checked the score, and they're up 1.
Yeah, I think however many teams there are in Division I basketball, 363, I think only one team, and that's Houston, would be able to have a demoralizing technical foul. Like that would kill any team's momentum.
I thought that was game.
I mean, that's game.
Yeah.
That's game for most teams. And this is what I wanted to talk about, because I think with Duke on that side of the ball, or on that end of it, I've never been a huge buy into they don't play in close games throughout the year, and now they're in a close game and they fumble it. But you almost have to, you have to be able to put a team away. And especially when, the Houston makes a critical error, like slapping the ball out of bounds. I mean, you have to be able to finish that game right there. And so I don't know if you can chalk that up to Duke, not really being in those situations throughout the year. But I don't know. What do you think about that? Because I go either way on that.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Duke do this, especially the one that comes to mind is against North Carolina in the ACC semifinals. They were up 20 or whatever to start the game, and that was a whole free throw situation where they got the technical or lane violation and stuff. But yeah, it's almost like they dominated every single team, most every team in the regular season, and then come to this situation. But I feel like they've been in these situations when they've been up. Obviously not against a team like Houston, but all-time choke job. And the thing that stands out to me is they've had all these All-Americans, first-round draft picks.
It's been 10 years.
It's been 10 years since they made the national championship game, which is crazy. And that's a combination of Coach K and then Coach Shire with this last one a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Or I guess that was Coach K with Paulo.
Yeah. But that was
his last year.
That was when they ended in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But yeah, it was a strange. They didn't score a field goal in the last 10 minutes of the game. Wow. You're gonna lose a lot of games if you do that.
Yeah.
They were but then again, there was I can't remember the exact stats to it, but it was basically they were the only team to ever lose a tournament game when you have better shooting percentage, less turnover, like the whole stat line. They beat Houston, but Houston's that team.
Yeah.
Like you never felt like, even when the dumb turnover, the dumb technical foul, like you could tell on Duke's bench, it was like, we got it. Mm-hmm. That's it. And it was like, it never phased Houston at all. And they knew they were going to get an opportunity, and they had opportunities when they, missed some free throws. Duke missed some free throws, and then just like god awful inbounds play where Houston didn't need to take it out to shoot a three. They do, and it's a putback dunk because it's just an absolute scramble. You got Duke players are down the floor, like you can't lob it up to your own rim, basically, especially against Houston, where you might as well just chuck it down the floor and hope whatever happens. But that happens, and then the call on flag with the over the back, like it's not a good call. I'm not going to defend that call, but also like I'm never going to say that lost Duke the game. Like they had plenty of opportunities to win that game. You're up by 6 points late. Bad call in a tough moment. Houston secures the rebound pretty much anyway, and they call it. But Houston was a team that made free throws. Houston was a team that made those little plays at the end of the game. It was like, Houston's last 4 minutes, 2 minutes of that game, like negated an entire pretty good effort from Duke, which was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But we had talked about that even earlier. Like, you're not going to blow out Houston. They're going to be in the game. Mm-hmm. So you had to be able to make some free throws, and they couldn't get it done. And even at the end of the game, like Duke or Houston fouls like Proctor. Mm-hmm. He was like he had two wide open guys he could have given it to. He's a 50% free throw shooter in the tournament. They foul him, he misses the first front end. Like, it's kind of the beauty of, I hate when people want to get rid of the one-on-one, because that's just it's the beauty of it.
No, I love the one-on-one. It's like Coach Rice always says, two things that don't last: teams that don't make free throws and dogs that chase cars.
Yeah.
But yeah, credit to Houston. I think going to tonight against Florida, I think they got a lot of momentum, and if they play like they play Houston basketball, I think they've got a very good chance.
Like, they haven't lost a game. Yeah. They've lost since Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. They've lost one game or something. What is it? I don't even know. Something like since the first of the year. They lost that Texas Tech game in overtime. Mm-hmm. Like, team's just on a freaking roll.
Yeah.
And it's so weird because you kind of know in these games where when you win a game like that, the next game you're like, we came out with this crazy victory. We're kind of just house money playing now. Like, we gambled and we won, and now it's like we might as well just go out and play, because there was a good chance with 30 seconds left in that game that we weren't here, and now we are, and it's going to be a battle. But again, that was I chalk it up to both Houston. You have to play 40 minutes against them, and Duke just pissing down their leg. Mm-hmm. It was just you don't see that very often from really good teams like Duke, and maybe it was the inexperience in some of them. I liked the Cooper Flag look at the end. Like, that wasn't a bad shot that he had, and it just didn't go. Like,
let me ask you this: does that loss motivate Cooper Flag to come back even more, or you think he's NBA bound?
I think he's got to be headed to the NBA, but if someone wants to step up and pay him an NBA salary for one more year, like, wouldn't put it past me that he would come back. I don't know. I think when you're just a bona fide number one guy, like, you might as well go out. I don't know, but he's also done the hint at playing a little bit more at Duke, and if you love playing college basketball, why not, right?
Yeah,
like,
he's
gonna be the first number one pick next year. Like,
yeah, we'll see. He's a Duke kid. He seems like the type of guy that will go back for the team, like, over himself. But Yeah, you're right. He's going to be probably.
No one's going to tell him to come back.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's going to be all on his own, which would be cool. I mean, as a college basketball fan, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd love to have him back because, he'll probably go to Washington or something like, play for the Wizards or something. I don't know what the lottery is going to look like, but I mean, that would be pretty fun as a college basketball fan, absolutely. But as probably a realistic approach, probably shouldn't. But, hey, man. More power to him if he does.
Like you said tonight, we got the national championship. Who's your pick?
I think Houston wins. I'm a huge fan of Kelvin Sampson. I love it. I love his approach to basketball. It's like the physicality and the rebounding. And again, like I said, I think when you win a game like that on a Saturday, you kind of just have like a confidence in you. And not that Florida's not. They're probably one of the more confident teams too. They've won games like that all year. But I think you got to be able to somehow run Walter Clayton off the line, which is pretty much impossible because you can shoot it from wherever. But I think defensively they'll be able to hold enough and probably win the game. How about you? I mean, it's kind of a toss-up too, though, I would say.
Yeah, I'm going to go Houston as well. I mean, like you said, they need to stop Martin. They need to stop Clayton. And they need to score.
Yeah.
They're going to be fine on the defensive end, but if they can't score, then...
Yeah, I mean, Florida's playing most of their games in the 80s and 90s and hundreds in a lot of games in the SEC.
It's going to be a dogfight.
Oh, yeah. But just like that, it's two teams that haven't lost a lot of games down the stretch here. And, like, I think... these are the four best teams that we've seen play in this Final Four, and the one that comes out is going to be like one of those teams that you're like, man, that was a really, really good freaking team. I mean, Houston has like 3 losses. Florida's probably, I can't remember, 4 or 5. Like, they haven't lost a lot of games, and it's going to be one of those teams that's like, where do these rank in one of the better teams we've seen in the last 20 years? Those type of teams. So. But it's more of a year where there's a lot of teams like that. Yeah. That's why I think it's even more impressive. Like the UConn last year and last 2 years, like great teams. No one really challenged them at all. Mm-hmm. Like these teams, I think, would challenge those UConn teams, but it just wasn't put together last couple of years too for them.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, a great Final Four, first one since 2008, where we've had 4 1 seeds, and it's lived up to expectations with seeing the best of the best. And although people like the upsets and Cinderella stories like this, it's pretty cool to see these teams, kind of the 4 teams that separated themselves from the beginning of the year, go at it.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about these 4 teams week 1 of the season when this started. Like these were the kind of the 4, maybe not as much Florida, but definitely Duke, Houston, Auburn kind of were, at the start of the year, the 3 best teams, and then Florida became what they are now. And yeah, it's been fun. I've enjoyed the tournament. I'm always going to enjoy the tournament, though. Like, I would never sit back and be like, man, that sucked the last 3 weeks. I always love watching the games. Yeah, we didn't get to see the 15 seed thing or the 14. Like, I get that that's a big, deal. And for a lot of people, that's the only reason they watch. This is the only time they watch college basketball. But for people that watched all year, I think you understood how great these teams are. Yeah.
I talked about this. I made a little video about it, but is this crazy, or will we see like the NCAA tournament at a cash prize for the winner, or is it just like it's March Madness, the NCAA tournament? That's good enough. I think the cash prize is a great. I enjoyed watching The Crown. Like we haven't talked about it, but like, because I think the last time we talked, it hadn't even started yet, but like. It was a good tournament. Yeah.
I enjoyed it. There was a lot of good games, and dudes were competing. It wasn't like, and even like the end of the NIT was decent, but just teams that, a lot of people didn't watch all year. I actually enjoyed The Crown a lot. I thought it was a good tournament with a lot of good teams. I think any one of those guys on every team would have rather played in the NCAA tournament with no money, though.
Yeah, you're right.
But for something in the future, if that's what, that's all. It was a lot of good opportunity for a lot of guys, I think, to play and make a little extra cash for sure. I think it should be incorporated something like that in football too. Like I think there should be some like college football do another 8-team playoff or something with cash on the line.
Yeah.
Like who knows? Like I don't know if people would really be up for that in the football way, but I really enjoyed watching it. I thought it was fun. But yeah, I don't think it would ever like take the place of what the NCAA tournament brings. I don't know. I think it's just like the history of it all is different.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think that is a good idea, especially for like bowl games, kind of just bowl games that don't really matter. At least instead of the sponsors that sponsor that bowl game, instead of maybe just giving the players gifts or having whatever extra money you spend, take that and make it to a pool where if you opt out before the bowl game, you can't get that money. But if you play in it, then you do have a chance to get that money.
It's obviously a lot more money because there's a lot more players.
That is true.
But I mean, if every football player got $2,000-$3,000 or something, along those lines, like that's not at least each team gets like a certain amount of money that they can figure out how to split it between that type of thing. But I think that's like a good motivation for what would be a non-motivating tournament right now.
Yeah.
I think it's become that point where I think we are at a point in college sports where if you don't make it to the NCAA tournament, if you don't make it to the college football playoff, you're either just done for the year or you are transferring. Mm-hmm. And it's like, if you have an opportunity to get these guys to play more, I mean, the coaches probably love it. Yeah. Absolutely. But you also need some sort of incentive, I think, right now, because if you don't make it, a lot of the guys are, like I said, just done for the year and ready to check out, or they're, ready to leave somewhere. So I really liked the tournament. I thought it was fun to watch, and I love the game times that they put together. I think that was really smart. And we got a little like day basketball a couple days, like leading up to the Elite Eight Final Four and stuff. So I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah.
And I mean, money's money, but if you're making $100,000, what's $2,000, $3,000 going to motivate you that much? If you're a player that's...
Yeah. If you're one of those guys, probably not.
Yeah.
But if you're also one of those guys and you didn't make the tournament, like a lot of those teams don't have a guy that's making that much money. Even though in the Crown they had teams that were, probably a lot of guys that are making good money for it, before that tournament through NIL and stuff. So I don't know. I think that's the way to go. I think that's what we're seeing with the in-season tournaments. I think if you bring a cash prize to Maui, you're going to get all those guys, all the teams that want to play there a little more too. I mean, I think that Vegas tournament's going to add, 30 teams or something. Yeah. I don't know what it is now, but I think that's the route that's going to have to go. But if it gets guys to play, I think it's great.
Yeah. This is the last day of college basketball.
I know. It's crazy, man.
Off season. You want to talk about kind of coaching?
There's been a lot of good ones. I mean, obviously, I think the big one that we were kind of paying attention to a bunch is like Richard Pitino going to Xavier. Interesting choice. I don't know. I think Big East kind of ball. I think that makes sense for him, but it kind of seemed like he was leaving no matter what after this year. But what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, he was building something really, really nice. But yeah, Big East compared to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and they're going to be stuck in the Mountain West most likely. I think it's smart, and he's a good coach. Obviously, we've seen what he's done in the last 3 years, especially since before that New Mexico was kind of struggling. That's one of the bigger ones. Another one that I thought was kind of interesting was Fran, the Iowa coach.
Yeah, Fran McCaffrey.
Yeah, Fran McCaffrey. Yeah. He's going to Penn.
Yeah, that was his alma mater. Yeah. So I kind of think that would be fun. They had kind of a weird ending, I think, at Iowa. He's been there for a while.
I know. The one that was on my mind was Buzz Williams.
Yeah.
I feel like going from Texas A&M to Maryland.
So I heard this story about Buzz Williams, and I can't remember who told it. You've probably seen it. But he kind of has this philosophy about where he's at. So and if you look at his resume, he's at Marquette, Virginia Tech, Texas A&M, and it's like all those programs you could probably lay out and be like, when he took them, very low level for a big league. Mm-hmm. But he kind of has this mentality of like almost leave a school before they like he's too good of a coach to like be leaving. Mm-hmm. So but he could build a program up. But he's like 5 years, I'll get your, lower third, big conference team, fighting for a conference title, or like in the middle, make a couple NCAA tournaments, and then I'm gonna do it again somewhere else. Yeah. And it's almost kind of smart because he's saying, I'm gonna get out before I'm here for 10 years and I've done, maybe in 10 years make 6 tournaments, and everyone's like, do we get rid of him? Like he raises the expectation and leaves, and it's different. I've never seen anyone do it because it's not like he's stepping up.
Yeah, it's
like he's going kind of lateral, but he's doing the same thing at every school, it's interesting. It's a different way of thinking about coaching, which is it's kind of fun.
It's almost like he's playing NCAA football.
Yeah, he's like, I'm done with playing here. I'm gonna go somewhere else.
I want to rebuild.
Yeah,
I'm bored.
But he's good at it. That's what's crazy. It's not like any of those schools were wanting to leave. He just says, I'm gonna leave. He's gonna go to Maryland, which the whole thing with Willard was a disaster. Yeah. So we can talk about that, but like he's going to go to Maryland and they're probably going to be really freaking good for a couple of years, and he may leave again. I don't know. Like that's kind of his thing where 5 or 6 years I'm out and I raise the bar for you. You guys handle it from here. I hope the best goes for you guys, but I'm out. And it's if you think about all the programs, like I guess Virginia Tech maybe not as much, but like Marquette is a great program in the Big East, and like they've hired Shaka Smart and all that. Like they have good staff now. Like it's a completely different way of thinking than I think most people in the coaching world would do. Instead of being like, I'm going to stay here, build this thing, keep it riding. Instead, he's like, I'm going to build it and leave.
Yeah. Hey, maybe he's just tired of it. He wants a challenge.
It's not like he has it's like a certain level of program he likes, but it's not like, I'm just going to stay in like the state of Texas and do it, or I'm going to stay like in this area. I mean, he's been all over the country.
Yeah.
It's pretty unique in that way.
Yeah, the whole Willard thing. Yeah. He was like unhappy with the administration. Is that what it was?
Yeah, kind of called out the administration publicly. I don't know. I think this has been building up, I would assume, and then he kind of made it public, but he was also in a run in the tournament. So it's a tough spot. He was probably already gone. He's like a Big East. He's like a Northeast guy anyway, like Big East, Northeast guy. So I think it just got weird. And then when he left, everyone was like, well, yeah, we knew you were gone, but like you kind of – I can't remember who said – I think Scott Van Pelt is like the big Maryland guy, and he was like, don't shit on the front porch of your house that you're leaving.
Yeah.
Like leave in good terms, but you kind of have to be public about some of that stuff, but also there was a lot of that stuff that probably should have been closed door conversations.
I know VCU has this in their contract clause where they have to do a home and home with the team that the coach goes to. If they did that with Villanova and Maryland, he would be. Well,
that's what they were.
Light him up
when Scott Van Pelt was talking about that on Pardon My Take. They were talking about that too. I was listening to Big Cat talk about it, and he was like, "That should be everywhere, especially if you're like a small school, and you go to wherever you go to a big, Texas Tech should have to go play at North Texas, like a home game or something like that. I mean, that would be cool. Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah,
especially if you take a bunch of guys with you. Yeah, like make them come back and play.
And we're like we saw it with Ed Cooley.
Oh God,
he gets lit up every time he comes back to Providence.
And those are like I'm not like following Providence, but those games are like you gotta watch because it's sold out.
The student section
students
shows up,
students are like camping out the night
Yeah.
before games
And
and
they're
stuff.
like two terrible teams.
Oh, yeah.
too.
Bottom of feeders of the Big East
Yeah.
right now, and it was like you had to watch that game. That was pretty fun.
Yeah. We got what else? Xavier,
Ryan
Sean
Odom,
Miller, Sean Miller,
Sean
to
Miller, yeah.
Texas, Odom to Virginia. I'm missing one more. Maybe. I feel like I just had it.
Yeah,
Oh, no. I was thinking Utah State coach.
he actually signed in.
He
They
stayed.
got a guy to stay.
Yeah. Which is-
Yeah, and it was rumored that he was maybe out, but seems like he's locked in there for a little bit at least. So you never know. He could leave like next year, but I don't know. But yeah, it's crazy that the portal's open during this whole time because high major players are entering and finding new places to go, and it's like it doesn't really make sense right now to do it, especially for college basketball. And I mean, like for football, you kind of understand it because they have to enroll for like the next semester. But like we're in the middle of the semester of every college in the country. Like none of those guys can leave their school until June or May. Like there's plenty of time to allow this to the day after the Final Four to open it up and let everyone be on the same field there. Because
it gives the fans a little something to look forward to in the off season.
Yeah, it's kind of like
portal
2
tomorrow,
weeks of portal in, and
portal open tomorrow. We'd be like, oh shoot, this guy's in the portal, and it'd be entertaining while there's no more college basketball.
Yeah, no, it's just a different vibe to it when the money and everything's going on like during the Final Four. Like, I mean, a lot of those coaches want to go to the Final Four, they probably can't because they got to be recruiting guys and stuff, and never stops now. I mean, it never did, but I mean, there's absolutely no break to it. So it's just nuts that that's going on. At some point there'll be something figured out, but I don't know when, man.
Yeah. Do you like the Final Fours in the football stadiums? Are you a fan of that?
I'm cool with it. No other game in the NCAA tournament should be. It hasn't seen like a huge effect, I don't think, on like mine would be if we were playing in football stadiums and guys couldn't shoot at all and it was terrible. Like I think we've seen it, the offenses haven't been that bad. But I mean, I saw like some guy post a picture that he was there. How do you even see the game?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you're in a football stadium in a court that's the third of the size of a football field. Like, I don't know.
I went to Gonzaga, North Carolina, in the national championship 10 years ago, maybe whenever that was. And I was sitting like way up at the top, kind of behind the basket to a corner. I could honestly could not.
Hey, you're watching you're watching the
ball
screen.
went in on this side of the court.
Yeah.
So I mean, it does make a cool atmosphere, but it's almost just like
For the fans, I don't.
You got to be sitting in the front.
Yeah, if you were sitting down there, it'd be awesome. But yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, I think it's a little goofy looking from like afar, especially if you're sitting way up there. But I know why they do it. They can get 70,000 people instead of 12 or 20 or something somewhere. But yeah, I think I wasn't a fan of like the stadium in Lucas Oil that they did. That was weird.
I heard they're doing it. They did it because the Final Four is there next year, so they're trying to
see if that would
test
work.
run maybe, or just see how they're going to do next year. But
it's not built for it as like a basketball player. Like you're not.
The Carrier Dome at Syracuse.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that would be the only comparable place, and only a handful of teams play there every year. It's like, and the one game you play there, you're not gonna. It's not gonna be like, oh, now we know how it feels. It is a little goofy in that way, but again, it's just about money, so they can make a lot more sales, and people
tickets.
Still go to the game, man.
Yeah, it would always be
60,000 people in a football stadium.
The tickets are expensive.
Oh yeah, it's not cheap to go.
Way up there.
Yeah. No,
I mean, to say you've done it, I mean, I guess that's cool.
Yeah, but I've never wanted to go to a sporting event and then be like, I can't even see the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta watch on the
Watch it on the Jumbotron in my $1,000 seat. We're just watching on TV.
Even the suites were like.
Yeah, I mean, like a suite at a football game, you're so far away, but you get all the luxury of it. At a basketball game, you're like, you'd have to be the old guy with binoculars or something, you know?
Yeah. We really don't talk about women's basketball in here, but I can't believe UConn just destroyed South Carolina
that was nuts.
Like, especially UConn went on a roll. It's weird because you see these teams, they're like 2 seeds and they're 30-3.
Yeah, no, we were talking about that.
Yeah.
We had it on like, must have been their Sweet 16 or Elite 8. It was like, yeah, you're a 2-loss team and you get a 3 seed or a 2 seed. It's like unbelievable. That must be brutal. But yeah, UConn, UConn's really freaking good. It was just an overall ass kicking, pretty much the whole
College basketball capital of the
world. Stores, baby.
Yeah, Stores, Connecticut.
Yeah. Oh no, I did see that one. There is that class. I think it was a 2020 recruiting class for women. Is like was in like Caitlin Clark, Paige Beckers, Angel Reese.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably like the greatest class of women's basketball ever. I think there was a couple more. I can't remember off the top of my head, but
they were like all on the same USA team when they were teenagers.
Yeah. I think, it was crazy, pretty nuts. That'll be a class to remember for sure. What else you got?
No, let's see. I mean, championship tonight. Portal news.
There's so many guys moving around now.
Donovan Dent.
Yeah, that was a big one.
I know the big gripe on that was he's a LA kid, and the UCLA coaches kind of just said, nah, we don't want you, and then goes to a mid-major, builds them up, and then...
Yeah, I think that's the prime example of we need contracts, and if UCLA wants him, they should have to pay New Mexico to get him. Yeah, like, I wasn't a big fan of them. Like, UCLA came out and was like a homecoming. It's like, well, you passed up on him. Like, you originally passed up on him. I'm sure he wanted to play for UCLA at a high school. At the time, he was a Mountain West basketball player. Like, he was a Mountain West point guard. And then he becomes basically like an All-American type player. And now they're like, okay, yeah, we'll take him now after he's...
Oh, we've always wanted
it's like, oh, this is a great homecoming for him. It's like, well, I'm sure he never wanted to leave if he always wanted to play for UCLA. Like, I'm sure he wanted to be there. So, yeah, I think that's a little goofy in the way we do that. But again, it should be like a buyout scenario where New Mexico's compensated for creating a 3-star recruit into the biggest portal transfer guy in the country.
I know. I do like the idea of contracts and buyouts, and we might see it coming up.
Yeah, I know. I think like the settlement thing is going on. I get so lost in that because they talk about it. They talk about like today is supposed to be the big day that the settlement's going to go through and all this stuff, and it's like the NCAA has zero power anymore. I'm sure it'll get settled and things will be okay, but the NCAA can't control anything. And so it needs to kind of be its own thing. Football and basketball need to kind of be their own thing. And then we can develop we can have Jay Wright be the commissioner of basketball, and we can have like Chris Peterson be the commissioner of football, and they can decide the contracts. And the other thing that bugs me too is like agents. Like, of course, an agent's going to tell you to leave. He gets his payday. Yeah. Like, and an agent, especially with college, in pro, there's only so many NBA players that they can work with. There's 60 that get drafted or whatever, 62 or whatever it is. Like, there's only so many guys that get drafted and they sign with an agency and they have an agent. Those guys are comfortable because they work with a couple guys in the league. Like, if you're an agent, there's 2,000 kids in the portal. Like, if one doesn't work out, okay, I'll just go down the list. This guy doesn't have anyone. Hey, come here. we'll get you signed, we'll get you figured out, and I'll take my check, and we're good.
Massive percentages as well.
Oh yeah,
some
it's
of these
ridiculous.
guys are ripping off these college
And there's a infinite amount, and they could go to a guy that's like didn't even think about leaving, just go, hey, this team's gonna offer you thousands of dollars, $100,000 if you leave, okay, and I get 10% of it or something.
Yeah.
Like NBA guys, like NBA contracts are massive, but those guys are taking 2% or something like that, which is still a ton on a $20 million contract. You're talking about a lot of money, but those guys can just rack up as many players as they want. New guy enters, okay, I'll sign him, get him figured out at a new school, and take my check.
Then we end up with the what was that, UTSA?
Yeah, or like where's my money thing? It's like,
where's my money?
Yeah, it's nuts.
We'll talk before we close. We'll talk about Boise State real quick.
Yeah,
just portal and stuff. Tough loss to Nebraska in the Crown.
Yeah,
they were playing well.
Nebraska was playing pretty good too, and they won the whole thing. It's obviously we are homers towards it, but like if you really think about it, Boise State was one of the hottest teams in the country. They had lost to Colorado State twice since like mid-January or like late January.
Like
three games, Colorado State twice, and like they were playing really good, and Nebraska was hitting a lot of shots in that game, and it just kind of fell that way. But like, yeah, it's one of those that you look back in the season, and there's a couple games where if the ball bounces one way, you're in the NCAA tournament. But yeah, I don't know how you kind of feel about it. Like a lot of Boise State fans were like upset, but I mean, would have ended up in Dayton, and that like I don't know where would you rather be, like Dayton as like that San Diego State game where you get killed, or like maybe play a little more in the Crown? Like I don't know how you feel about that, but I mean I think everyone on that team would want to play in the NCAA tournament, but I'm not saying it would have ended up that way. But I don't know. It's kind of a weird feeling now, I think.
Yeah, I mean I would agree. I would say that I probably would have rather been in Dayton, even if
and just had a chance at least, you know.
But then the whole narrative starts up again about how they can't win in the tournament. But if you think about it, like especially going back 5 years ago, like Boise State was not even close to being in talks of going to the NCAA tournament as an at-large, and here we are 5 years in a row where they've been on the bubble, make the tournament, or just miss it.
Yeah.
So I think, as in retrospect, looking at everything as a whole, like it was a good year.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Obviously, they had super high expectations, being the preseason favorite, and as a fan, like you want your team to do well, and you put high expectations, and I think that's a good thing. You don't want your program to just be trash where you don't believe that they could win.
Yeah.
And that is a good thing, but I think they deserve a lot more credit for what they did, and even though it didn't end up probably how most people wanted to, they still had a great year. And
I think too, like you're talking about, the guys on the team, like those are the guys that care the most.
Yeah, they're not trying to lose.
Yeah, like, and they want to go to the NCAA tournament. They want to win games. Like it. Sometimes the fan base at Boise State has a there's certain people that think that expectations, once that grows to a certain point, they build it up, and then everything's a failure. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of fans like that at every school, but at Boise State, it's a fan base that it has just as much passion and puts just as much kind of pressure on their sports, on their athletics as some of the major, teams in the country.
Yeah.
And you're talking about a school that doesn't have as much money to pay players or coaches or have the best facilities. Like you're not talking about, the major schools in this country. Like, but the fan base, I think, it bleeds over from football.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is absolutely what it is. But I think at some point in the near future, Boise State will have that, like, Boise State basketball will have that breakthrough year of like a Sweet 16 run, and people will then remember these years as like, oh, that was the foundation to that, moment or whatever it is. And I think that's coming in the near future for sure.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm excited to see what happens next year, and obviously a big loss with Tyson, and yeah, they're gonna.
I wish Al Cardenas was, a Boise State player for his whole career.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we saw him at San Jose, and I think a lot of people, when he transferred, kind of thought like, I don't know, I guess, but like everyone knew, like, especially, watching the guy for the last 3 years, like, he's a legit basketball player, and I think a lot of people would be like, oh yeah, okay, I underestimated his capability. No one's gonna break that assist record he set here. Like, it was just crazy. Yeah. So I'm excited for him. I think they have some good pieces coming back, and I think that was what the cool thing about the Crown was, like, Andrew Meadow, Peanut, like, those guys played really well. So I think that's exciting going forward. Those are young guys. Those are guys that have, those guys play at the highest level, and like they'll both be all Mountain West type players, I think, too.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited. A lot of things to look forward to. I mean, for us specifically, there's no more college basketball.
I know. We'll do a little check-in or something, and then, I mean, yeah, it kind of sucks. It flew by, man. I felt like we were just talking about getting ready to start, and all of a sudden we've flown through every year. It seems like that, but we've flown through it, and it's been, it's crazy. Yeah. It's just, what was it, 6 months basically?
Yeah.
Basically just like...
It's like episode 23,
yeah,
24, something
like half the year makes sense. So, it was, again, back to the Boise State thing. Like, I would... Disappointing, I get it, but it's also like a lot of wins. Two of those games earlier in the year that the ball bounced funny in Logan or in the Cayman Islands. You're talking about an NCAA tournament team, and they looked like an NCAA tournament team too. Yeah. And Nebraska was an NCAA tournament team. They lost like 6 straight at the end of the year, and like they were pretty much all year were like an 8-9 seed, and they just fumbled at the end. Yeah. But they were a good team too, so I wouldn't like say that loss was some crazy upset or something that they ended it sourly. Like, they lost to a good team.
They won the whole thing.
Yeah, and credit to them. Like, they're a good team too. So, I wouldn't. The fan base gets a little built up steam on like the March tournament stuff, but it's like, it was a good team. It was a fun team to watch, and you saw a team that was competitive in most games they played. Like, that's just how it was. So
yeah, for sure. But yeah, like I said, I'm excited for next year for them and see what happens.
Yeah.
Well, we'll still be dropping episodes. We'll have to come up with some creative things.
We'll do something at least.
Have
maybe
some
guests. Have some.
We have Jacob for sure.
Yeah, we'll. I mean, we're gonna have probably some news on, like, I mean, I know Boise State football, like, they had some kind of transfer portal news, so maybe we'll do something like that after spring ball and all that stuff. So that'll be coming up, and as soon as we know, it'll be football season again or something. We'll
be going to Notre Dame.
Yeah, man. I hope.
Yeah. Well, thanks for watching. Let us know if you like this new setup.
Yeah.
We'll be back again. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.